This is day 12 of our Footsteps of Paul seminar. It's also our last day in Greece. The next day, some will go back home, while the rest go on to Rome. We're going to spend the entire day today in Corinth. The old city was destroyed by the 1858 earthquake, so the modern city decided to build 3 miles away. This allowed archaeologists to make major explorations in the ancient ruins, revealing the city that Paul visited. The city-states of Corinth and Athens were rivals for hundreds of years. But in time, Corinth grew larger and more prominent and eventually became the capital of that region. But Rome destroyed it in 143 BC, and the city was abandoned. It was refounded by Julius Caesar in 44 BC. He made it a Roman colony. Paul only spent just a few days in Athens before going on to Corinth. This is probably because Corinth was a large, prosperous city with influences that went around the world, where Athens had already gone past its prime and was in decline. Corinth was located on isthmus with 2 harbors, one on the Aegean Sea and the other one that led out to the Adriatic Sea. A 4-mile road connected the 2 harbors. This road had a continuous flow of goods, animals, people, and small boats. This made it a major hub for Roman commerce, allowing Corinth to collect a large amount of taxes. It became a city of over 200,000 people, making it the 5th largest city in the Roman Empire, after Rome, Alexandria, Ephesus, and Antioch. Paul's main source of income was tent making. Corinth was perfect for that. The crews of the various ships had to wait in line for their turn to have their cargo transported over that 4-mile stretch. They had to have a place to stay. Tents were perfect. Corinth was also the home of the Isthmus Games, and there was another need for tents. Several ancient leaders tried to cut a canal from one side to the other, but they all failed. Therefore, the large boats would dock on one harbor, unload their goods, and have it moved to the other side to be loaded onto another ship. If a boat was small enough, they could simply load the whole thing on a cart and push it across. This was expensive, but safer than sailing around the peninsula. Finally, because of the invention of dynamite, the Corinth Canal was built in 1893. Greece contracted the same company who built the Suez Canal. Our day in Corinth will be full of visiting interesting and biblical sites. We'll be visiting the Agora, the marketplace where Paul, Aquila, and Priscilla worked. This is a picture of one of the shops that is still standing. The remains of the Temple of Apollo is in the background. And talking about the Temple of Apollo, we'll be visiting that as well. We'll see the actual Bema judgment seat where they tried to bring Paul to trial. While we're there, we'll all hear the story together of what happened. In the background is the Acropolis of Corinth. It is called the Acrocorinth. Because of its natural water source, the people of Corinth would go there for safety during times of war. Romans 16:23 talks about a man named Erastus. It says, Erastus, who is the city director of public works and our brother, sends you greetings. The government didn't always have funds to pay for new construction. Therefore, wealthy citizens often help finance a project. To honor them, a stone might be inscribed with their name and title. This piece of payment was found honoring a government official who paid for a section of the road. The inscription was 7 inches tall and was originally filled with bronze. All indications are this is the same man that Paul mentioned in his letter. He became a Christian and a friend of Paul. The worship of Asclepius was strong in ancient Corinth. Sanctuary to Asclepius originated a little south of Corinth at Epidaurus, Greece. People who suffered from illness traveled long distances to be blessed by the deity. Like we said in Pergamum, part of the ritual was to make clay images of the body parts that needed healing. Over the years, the holy men at the site began using herbs and cleansing rituals and other techniques that transformed the treatment from divine to scientific. The knowledge developed there became the basis for future medical innovations. Because of that, Epidaurus is considered by many to be the birthplace of modern medicine. The word Acropolis means high city. It refers to a natural stronghold constructed on rocky elevated ground. On our tour, we visit Pergamum Acropolis, which is probably the most beautiful, the Athens Acropolis, which is the most famous, and now the Corinth Acropolis, which is the most impressive. There are several temples to gods on top, but the most famous is the temple to Aphrodite. It is said to house upwards to 1,000 temple prostitutes, which brought a great amount of wealth to the city. As the shipping crews were waiting their turn for their cargo to be moved to the other side, they would climb the almost 2,000 feet to worship at the temple. There are 3 walls around the summit with 3 sets of gates. If we have time, our bus driver might go close enough so that we can take a hike to the lowest gate. On our way back to Athens, we'll stop at Cenchrea Harbor. This is the hometown of Phoebe, who took Paul's letter to Rome. This is also the port where Paul stood and took a vow by shaving off his hair, then boarded a ship with Aquila and Priscilla and started his trip to Jerusalem, ending his second missionary journey. Well, we'll end the day with a farewell supper. This gives us a time to say farewell to those who are going home, but it also gives us a chance to reminisce about all the wonderful places, the biblical places and the interesting places that we saw in Turkey and Greece. For those who want to go deeper, go to BT Stories and listen to story number 243, which tells what happened at Corinth. Then listen to stories 245 through 248. Now those 4 will be a lot because they are a summary of 1st and 2nd Corinthians. Still, I encourage you to listen to them as well as the insights. On the bus, I'll be sharing about Paul's struggles while at Corinth. The Caesar of the day will be Titus, and the cultural insight will deal with being a Roman citizen. Now here is your tip of the day. Make sure to get travel insurance. Things happen. And at a certain time, the tour cannot refund your money. Over the years, if we've taken people to biblical sites, only a few have actually used the travel insurance, but those who did, it was greatly appreciated. Well, starting next week, we'll give you some audio recordings about Rome. So, come back. We'll talk to you next week.